Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the NXT report for the 24th of August 2021. And honestly, I mean, this show is getting abysmal. And I know that Nick Khan is saying that they're going to renovate the show, and I have very little hope. I mean, there are good things on the show, a couple good angles here and there, but honestly, NXT versus where it was 3 or 4 years ago, NXT where it was versus where it was when it started, 2014. It's so bad. And so anyway, Ridge Holland, um, with Pete Dunne, defeats Timothy Thatcher with Tommaso Ciampa. But before we get there, we have the opening segment. Show opens with the new $1 million champion, Cameron Grimes, arriving at the building. He's in a limo. Ted DiBiase is with him, and Grimes is out, and he's wearing a new $ vest. And Grimes is, an amazing character. This is one of the bright spots of all of WWE right now, is the Grimes character. DiBiase and Grimes enter, and they celebrate, and he's celebrating winning the $1 million belt at Takeover 36. DiBiase begins to congratulate him, talking about why he came to NXT. He wanted someone to carry on the legacy of the $1 million Man. That person would have to be strong and intelligent and courageous and all this stuff. DiBiase emphasized they should also be strong in heart and never quit. DiBiase goes on to say that Grimes is no quitter. Grimes got back up no matter how many times he fell down. Grimes and DiBiase said DiBiase drove him crazy at first. DiBiase said that Grimes drove him crazy at first. DiBiase replies that he's just testing him. Grimes goes on to say that he's beginning to lose focus with all of these zeros in his bank account, and Grimes thought of something, but he didn't have the accomplishment that made him something, and he lost track. Uh, you know, he didn't want LA Knight to make DiBiase his butler. So at Takeover 36, Grimes and DiBiase took care of LA Knight, and Grimes became $1 million champion. Fans chanted "to the moon." Grimes wondered where they can go from here. DiBiase said there's only one place to go, and that's to the moon. Grimes' face on what would be $100 bills fell out of the sky like confetti, and this is probably the most fun segment of NXT in several weeks. Anyway, first bout of the show is a grudge match between Ridge Holland with Pete Dunne, defeating Timothy Thatcher with Tommaso Ciampa. Holland had been injured quite a bit ago, and he's back now. Holland pins Thatcher with a power slam, wins a back and forth fight. They're trying to set up Ciampa against Holland. There could be a tag match down the road, and the heels do lay out Ciampa and Thatcher after the match. Thatcher is injured in storyline in the post-match attach. They tie up to begin with. Thatcher gets to his feet after being taken down and exchanges strikes with Holland. Thatcher drops to the mat again after getting nailed to the back elbow from Holland. Fight goes back to the ground. Thatcher targets the leg. Thatcher then switches to targeting the arm. Tables have been turned. Thatcher hits a lariat. Thatcher then takes a beating through the commercial break. Ciampa and Dunne begin brawling after the match ends, and the match does end. After Thatcher catches Holland in a half grab, Holland gets free, and then Holland delivers a headbutt. Holland then gets the power slam and beats Thatcher. Ciampa and Dunne begin brawling with them. Holland goes to put his hat back on, and he's attacked by Thatcher. Dunne runs interference, allowing Holland to retrieve the club. Holland hits Thatcher in the arm with it, and Dunne then held Thatcher's arm so Holland could hit Thatcher again with the club. Holland sticks Thatcher in the throat and strikes him. The heels then left him laying. And Mackenzie Mitchell interviews the newly engaged couple of Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis. Dexter reveals their wedding date as September 14th on NXT, and absolutely no one cared. Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro defeat Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. Catanzaro pins Carter to win the match. Finish comes out of nowhere, but match was fine for what it was. Catanzaro and Carter, they basically do TikTok dances because we're trying to be relevant, but we're really not. Catanzaro and Carter yell at the announcers post-match. The match itself is kind of short. Heat goes on Catanzaro for the majority of the match. Hot tag to Carter, and she goes nuts. Carter is cut off. She recovers quickly. Sets up for the finish, and Carter hits a neckbreaker as Catanzaro delivers 450 splash. Catanzaro cradles Jane for the 3. Gigi Dolan has so much talent. I'm really sad that she's being wasted in this way already. Frankie Monet, flanked by her entourage, interrupt the interview with women's champion Raquel Gonzalez. Monet challenged Gonzalez to a title match. What a waste of Gonzalez to give her a go nowhere gimmick, such as Monet. Before the women's bout comes another sit-down interview with Mackenzie. This time, Odyssey Jones is the target. Odyssey Jones is being pushed pretty well. Kaylee Ray, who's just returned at the TakeOver event, is with Valentina Fons. Ray pins Fons after Gory Bomb showcase match for Ray, who's been back only for about a week. Flores gets a few moves in, but nothing basically. Ray dominates the whole thing. Dolan and Jane are approached by Mandy Rose. Rose wants to be their manager. This falls flat. Samoa Joe, the new NXT 3-time champion, calls out the locker room. Joe heads to the ring for a promo. And then it kind of turns out, alright, I gotta grab my phone. We'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail to finish this up. But it's certainly a flat show thus far. And I say the show is flat just because the angles are non-compelling. The LA Grimes thing is a finish to a storyline, but there's nothing that necessarily makes a person have to tune in next week thus far. We move to the continuation of the Joe segment. Joe's the first 3-time NXT champion. Time for celebration. Joe says he did not come to celebrate. Joe wants to say there's tension in the air, and it's more, he can feel it more than ever before. He says handshakes are colder. Out comes Pete Dunne to confront Joe. Dunne tells Joe that he isn't the baddest around, and that Dunne instructed Joe to find his pal Regal so he could make the match. LA Knight interrupts. These interruption angles are just so... I understand their storyline logic is that they have to have multiple characters and multiple layers. But in reality, if you want to see a fight, you want to see 2 people fight. Boxing has taught us this. Before that, old school wrestling taught us this. Current day UFC teaches us this. No one cares about this multi-person junk that is put out there that was popularized probably 20, 25 years ago. Anyway, so Knight says a bunch of words. He's challenging Joe to a match. Dunne threatened to break Knight's fingers. Kyle O'Reilly's out next. And he speaks to Samoa Joe and Peter Dunne about knowing them well enough. O'Reilly said he doesn't know LA Knight, and O'Reilly says he's earned a title match. Ridge Holland jumps O'Reilly, blindsides the attack. Ciampa then runs into attack Dunne and plays off the sneak attack from earlier. Holland comes back to aid Dunne by attacking Ciampa and Gordon Solly's Pierce 6 brawl style stuff. Joe drops Knight, and then Joe's music plays, and he stands tall as champion. Cameron Grimes escapes Ted DiBiase, or escorts him to a waiting limo. Grimes says that he thought it's over. Grimes believes that he's the $1 million championship should go with DiBiase. Grimes tries to give the title belt to DiBiase, but DiBiase tries to give it back to him. DiBiase says every time Grimes looks at the belt, he'll know who he is. But there's a twist to the story. Grimes says that the belt feels different, and Grimes learns it's a replica belt. And a maniacal laughter from DiBiase as the limo speeds away, and Grimes holds the replica. Kyle O'Reilly is attacked for a second time, this time by Duke Hudson, and O'Reilly slaps Hudson. O'Reilly's slap comes after Hudson interrupts an backstage interview, sets up a match between the two. What a goofy way to set up matches. And then we go to Hayes. Carmelo Hayes defeats Odyssey Jones to win the NXT Breakout Tournament. Hayes wins with a crucifix pin on Jones. Hayes wins the Breakout Tournament, earning a title shot against the champion of his choice. Match isn't bad. Match begins kind of big man, little man deal, and there's a struggle. Jones manhandles Hayes. Hayes wouldn't quit, and the match goes through a commercial break, and the show returns from the break. Hayes gains control and stays on offense. Hayes is rocking Jones with a bunch of strikes. Hayes then hits the Lamahe struck cradle into a facebuster for a near fall, and Jones comes out moments later. Hayes hits a shoulder breaker. Hayes rolls out of the ring to regroup. Hayes is off the top rope with a flying leg drop, but Jones won't stay down. Hayes then goes for a second flying leg drop off the top rope, but he misses there. Jones then goes with a splash on Hayes, and Jones goes for a nonchalant cover. Hayes then counters with a crucifix for the 3. Regal presents Hayes with a contract for the title shot of Hayes' choice. Ilya Dragunov is set to appear on NXT next Tuesday. Zion Quinn defeats Boa. No one cares about this Boa character. Matches Boa until it's distracted by instructions from Mei Ying, and then Boa walks into a flying forearm smash by Quinn. Quinn covers Boa for pinfall, and Johnny Gargano tries to get William Regal to cancel the wedding between Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis. Some markable comedy lines, but nothing interesting. LA Knight pitches a fit and Regal orders them both out of the office and then slams the door in their faces. And then Malcolm Bivens cuts a promo for the Diamond Mine, and they're training in the background. Roderick Strong will issue an open challenge next Tuesday on the program. Then we go to El Legado del Fantasma. Santos Escobar, Raul Mendoza, and Joaquin Wilde defeating Hit Row, North American champions. Swerve Scott, Ashanti the Adonis, Top Dollar with B-Fab. Legado del Fantasma wins the match when Escobar pins Scott with a roll-up, so I guess that feud has to continue, which is kind of flat. But anyway, Escobar scored a pinfall over the North American champion. This should set up a match. Hit Row has an early advantage in the match, which leads to Hit Row standing tall before commercial. Heels take over, and they take a powder, and they basically glare at each other, daring each other to move. Picture-in-picture break. Heel team gains advantage. Heat on Scott. Phantasm works him over. Scott fights back. Hot tag to Top Dollar, and then he cleans house. He becomes a wrecking crew and carries all these heels around the ring at the same time. Triple fallaway slam, which is a heck of a spot. Heels fight on using teamwork. Taunting Adonis. Mendoza hits Adonis with a springboard missile dropkick, and Mendoza follows up with a modified Michinoku driver for a near fall. Scott squares off with Escobar, and Scott nails Escobar with a leaping flatliner. Scott comes off with a 450 splash on Escobar for false finish. Heels trade to stop Scott, and they try, but Top Dollar wipes them out with a dive to the outside. Escobar trips up Scott on the apron, and B-Fab posts him. B-Fab sends Escobar crashing into the ring post. Elektra Lopez appears at ringside, wrenching a pipe. Lopez hits B-Fab with the pipe, and this leads to the victory for the heels. Hit Row and Legado del Fantasma glare at each other as the show closes. What a anticlimactic show closing angle with factions just for the sake of factions. We'll be back with more right after this.